Have you been dreaming how to develop the perfect file? We got 4 simple steps that'll get you there. Hi, Chuck Boutall again, here with another When It Comes Down to It. In this one, we're going to be talking about the perfect file. The perfect file was developed by a very good friend of mine, Stephanie Beatty, up in Canada. And it can be taken in a long class, but we're going to cover the overview for the perfect file and exactly what that is in this episode. Number one thing you need to learn about the perfect file is you're going to need to develop and discuss the expectations with the client. You're going to have to set a goal in order to achieve that goal. And that goal is to sit down with the client and make absolutely sure you've got what we consider to be reasonable, obtainable goals with that customer. If you cannot set reasonable and obtainable goals with the customer, you're not going to have a very good job, because that means the customer is not going to be happy with the output. Once you've got the client expectations truly developed, that means you've discussed them, you've talked about options, and you know exactly what needs to be done as an end result, you need to develop your scope of work. Your scope of work is your roadmap of how to get to that end result. And like many road trips that you've taken probably in your life, you're not going to be able to go straight there. You would love to be able to do that, but that's your plan forward, is to be able to get straight to that goal right now, developing that scope of work. And of course, a great scope of work always has good directions to everyone involved who's working on that project. When you're enacting your scope of work out there in the field, you're going to come across number 3. That's change orders. Things are going to happen to you in the field. Customers are going to change their minds. Delivery dates could be missed by your suppliers, and or just scope of works, weather changes, anything that can happen. Make absolutely sure when a change order is necessary that it is discussed with the customer and or anyone else who's materially involved in the project. And then, of course, go ahead, execute that in writing, whether it's a paper or e-file, no problem, but execute it in writing and include it in the contract, because remember, you're now changing the scope of work, and that changes the contract itself. So very important to manage change orders quickly, effectively, and most importantly, officially. Number 4 is really the when it comes down to it moment. The concept here is we want to make absolutely sure that we've established goals that are reasonable and attainable with the customer, meaning we can perform the work we're promising to do so on time and on budget. That has to be set first. Then the most important thing is to make sure that we justify all of the work that is being done on that project. When the insurance company is going to be reimbursing the customer for costs or reimbursing us, the contractor, on the program for costs, they're going to want justification for why those materials were either changed out or dried, whatever services were rendered to them. So make sure you understand to justify all of your actions. And then, of course, the second thing you need to make sure is, what are the reasons they were taken? It could be a law, it could be a code, it could be best business practices, so they understand they're necessary. And of course, lastly, is make sure that the price is supported by the actions and by other necessary statements. So ensure that they understand that these actions were necessary and the prices were reasonable and prudent, to use their language exactly. When it comes down to it, the simplest thing to remember is always dry it like it's your grandmother's house and your children are going to be playing on the floor, and always make sure that you would be comfortable with paying the bill there. So if it justifies in your mind, then you ought to make sure you can justify it in the customer's mind. Following those 4 steps will help you with the perfect file. For more information on the perfect file, get together with us at RTI, Stephanie Beatty in Canada, or drop by one of our classes we'll be holding later on this year. As always, thanks to C&R Magazine for producing the content out in the field. And of course, thank you for learning with RTIlearning.com.